Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast. This is David Waldas here with Nick Musica, and we're recording this on December 27th, so it'll probably be another 3 weeks or so out when you all see it. Today's topic is joy, and this was Nick's intention for 2025. I keep wanting to say 2023, which is kind of funny. How fast these years have been going by. But so that's going to be our topic. And so Nick's going to kick us off with why joy is your intention, and what does that look like for you, and how do you define it?
Yeah. So we went to this little celebration a couple days ago, and you put what you want to burn on the Yule log, and then what you wanted to get rid of from 2024. And then what you wanted to manifest in 2025, you put in a little jar with everyone else's. You write it on a little piece of paper and you pop it in. And then there was a chance to share it. And mine was joy. And so I thought it would be a good idea to just relive that a little bit here and share it here. And I find joy to be a little elusive. And so I wanted to sort of be open to it and seek it out all at the same time in 2025 and be open to how it may present without putting tight guardrails around what it should look like, what fun should look like, what joy should look like.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead.
When you think of joy, how would you define it? And how does it show up in your world when you think about, I'm like, this is joy right now, I'm experiencing it. What are the catalysts, and what is it situational? Is it your mindset? Is it a combination? What? So how do you define it, and what creates the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I at least for me, it's if I'm thinking with the very logical side of my brain, that's not where it all happens. Because everything has to be rationalized, and it has to be like this, and it has to be categorized. And
heaviness
yeah. It just doesn't work that way. And it showed up for me last night when we went to go play mini golf in Del Mar. And it was just it's just so silly. It's just a silly game. And I remember seeing mini golf on ESPN 20 years ago. I thought, I could be an athlete, right? Like if mini golf is on ESPN, this guy has a chance to be an athlete of some kind. And just like having this funny dialogue with myself and my brain, and then playing mini golf, and I found myself 20 years later. Yeah. And just found myself just going for the holes in one. I don't have any golfing experience. I'm not good at this. But it was just fun to just go for it. And I'm what's happening right now? And so I'm starting to slip back into the rational side of my brain just to understand a little bit so I can move forward a little bit more into the joyful aspect of it. And it was really just approaching whatever it was as the most fun, productive outcome without getting stuck into what those definitions are, really, but just having fun and emotional uplift in this situation.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And it's really easy to do that with mini golf or not. If you're and my ball went off the course a couple times, right? And I could have gotten mad at the ball. Or me, or whatever, or
the little creek that ran through, but
or the rock, or whatever, or the windmill. I could have gotten mad at any of those things. I was certainly there to get mad at. But it was just fun to hit this little fucking ball around and try to get into this hole, right? Even when it was hard, going up this little volcano hill, and it's so infuriating. It has to go up straight up, or else it'll just veer off to the side, and too hard will get it over the other side. It has to be just right. And so finding the joy in the just right, and just the playfulness of it. And there's so much play that we have as kids,
Yeah.
I hope we all had that opportunity. And to go back to those moments of just play, because I think that's where a lot of learning comes from, a lot of the philosophy we can bring into our work comes from. And if we see it more as play, then we get to do it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if we
Yeah.
don't see it as play, then we have to do it. And that's different.
Yeah, yeah, and I think for joy is like having to be in the moment too. Like if we're trying to like, there's always things to, like you said, to be upset about. There's things that are wrong. There's things that are hard. There's things that are a struggle. And so for joy to be present, we have to not be worrying about any of that. We need to be in a place of just being willing to let go and have the experience we're having, and find the fun in it.
Yeah.
And that whole piece, it's like there's a part of our brain that has to shut down for that to happen. And to me, it's like so much what we do with aligned living is being a part of our, not being in our prefrontal lobe, that problem solving part of our brain, which is turning things over. And, I often refer to it as a problem creating part of our brain. And joy is not available there. We can have fun, things can be interesting, but joy is like there's a flow to it to me. And there's a sense of, I have to be, fully in the moment, and having a lightness to me that I'm allowing. And I think it's such an interesting thing when we set an intention. Allowing is so much part of it, because there's a million places we can always go. Any experience we have, we can look at any facet of that experience, or we can just let go of it and just go, I'm just being here. I'm just having fun. I'm not worrying about what's right or wrong, or exactly how to do it. Maybe I'm still trying. I am still trying, right? Like you're
Yeah.
trying to get the ball in the volcano,
Yeah.
but if you get
Right.
it wrong, you're not, it's like it's just the fun of the experience,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bring your best still at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I've been reading.
not trying is not joyful either.
Say it again.
Not trying is not joyful either. Like backing off your power. Like if you're just like, I'm just not going to
Yeah.
worry about it because if I get caught up in it, it's not going to be fun. Like that's not joyful either. That's like complacent.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a drop in our energy that's going, I'll
Mm-hmm.
just be aloof. And aloof is not joyful either. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's an engagement when I think about it like that.
Yeah. 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 Stepping into into the experience. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a book that I've been reading by Florence Scovel Shinn. She seems to be a big influence on Louise Hay,
Hmm.
and it's all about manifesting and really being open to whatever it is at the high level,
Hmm.
be it happiness, joy, be it finances, whatever it is, being open to how it shows up, not
Hmm.
doing a specific thing with a very specific outcome,
Hmm.
right? And you reminded me of it when you were talking about just being in the moment and finding the joyful parts of it. Because if I thought this hole was fun and I want to have fun on this hole,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I end up getting a 10, right? And the par is 2, like I'm mad. I'm potentially mad now, right? And I'm stuck in the mad of the prior of that hole. But then the
Yeah.
next
Do we
hole,
agree that like nine is the highest number you can get, right? So after nine, we just call it a nine.
their rules are 6, yeah. But but you sort of want to get the ball in the hole, right? Like it's a point of pride of getting the ball in the hole instead of walking away. And there's learning around it too. But like if you get mad at the hole or mad at the whatever it is, versus just shake it off and I got a 10. Like
Hmm.
like the next hole, there's a big freaking octopus on it, right? Like it's like let's see what happens over there. And there's 3 holes, and where do they shoot out? Because one of them is going to be better than the other two.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Can you do a test?
yeah, right, right. So to be open to, I mean, there's 18 holes that you can
Hmm.
have.
And everything
It's,
resets as soon as one's done. You
that's
can
it.
reset and have
That's
fun all
it.
over again.
Yeah, yeah, and learn from the other one, and
Yeah. And to me, it's also connected with magic. And when I say magic, I mean like the miracles that constantly happen in our lives when we're aligned and when we're not in the struggle, when we're not churning, but we've let go and we're leaving the space through our alignment, through flow, through not being in the churning, for miracles to happen. And to me, it's, we can look at it from a dimensional perspective. Like, are we stuck in the 3D? Are we, in the right and wrong, the black and white stuff, or are we letting go of that and being in, this is what's right for me, this is where I need to come from, this is my flow. And in that place, when we're in that consciousness, like it aligns us with miraculous experiences all the time. And like it's unmistakable. But most of us live in a very consistently third dimensional world where there's a lot of struggle, and we're always very aware of what's in our way and what we're fighting against and what we're upset about and all the worries and all the things that could go wrong and all the things that are going wrong. And it's amazing to me how, like, just a simple concept that says, like, if we connect with that, life is that, not life's not how life is, life's how we are.
Hmm.
And so when we're in that, we just get more of that. And when we let go and go, yeah, that's all happening, I'm not pretending it's not. But when I can let go of my grip on it and just be in flow with myself and alignment and connection, miraculous things start to happen. And when I let the world, let the universe, let God, however you want to look at it, show up and bring these things to me, it's what happens. But when we're trying, when we're struggling, joy is definitely not available, but neither are the constant miracles. And it's funny, like we talked about coining the phrase normical, right?
Hmm.
Like it's normal to
Hmm.
have miracles. Like it
Hmm.
happens all the time. And it's funny when my clients used that the other day, like, oh my God, the normicals are just flowing in. And I'm like, yeah, like that is the way life should look. That's what's available to all of us. But we don't do that because we tighten up and try to make it just right, or we get really upset or whatever, rather than just flowing and resetting. Like, oh, I got
Yeah.
sucked in. Okay, reset. Here I am. It's the next hole. Ooh, there's a giant octopus. This is awesome. um, and so this is a metaphor for life, and joy, I think, represents flow too, because joy is so fleeting if you're not in flow. If you're in flow, joy can happen a lot, and then it's much more about where am I paying my attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's sort of it. Yeah.
Right. And so when that's our goal, it's the same as saying flow is my goal. It's the same as saying alignment is my goal, because it's a
Totally.
byproduct of it. It's exactly what we had created, and it's a great
That's
reference
right.
point, because you go, you know what, when I'm in flow, joy shows up a lot, because there's all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
miracles that are happening all the time, and all these just fun synchronicities
Yeah.
and great experiences. And so, I like the idea of joy being a goal more than alignment being a goal, because alignment is what's necessary to create joy that's sustainable. I mean, we can get our moments where, like what is that? Even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. It feels a little bit like my brain's going to the logical side of my head again. Like there's two ways to approach accomplishments, I think, from a business perspective. One is we have a goal of 100.
Mhm.
Let's hit the goal of 100.
That was your mini golf score?
No, I was one over par for both. We played twice.
Wow,
One
no
one
wonder you
over
were having
par.
so much joy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah, yeah, way better. And also when doing better is way more joyful than not doing better. Um, well, there's a flow aspect to that, and a letting go aspect to that, and just trusting aspect to
Yeah, yeah.
that.
So sorry to interrupt you. So
Yeah, there's
100.
yeah. So there's two ways I think to approach work. One is 100 is, which is not my score. 100 is the arbitrary goal we set for something, and so we're going to achieve it no matter what.
Mhm.
And the other is we have a really good process. We have faith in our skills, and we're going to dedicate our time to doing it, and we're going to show up and do it well. And at the end of all of it, maybe you get 50, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe, but you also may get 200, right? So
Mhm.
like the 100 could just be out of alignment, or it could be limiting, or just, I think it's the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
And my work day in day out is SEO work, right? And so SEO traffic is the output. It's
Mhm.
the result of doing these things well,
Mhm.
and that happens to be the result. You don't
Mhm.
go, I want more joy. Okay,
Mhm.
joyful now, like it just, or SEO results now, or whatever the thing is now. It doesn't work that way. It's what God is here, and then that happens to be the result. Being open to the experiences, being showing up for the work, whatever framework we're working in right now.
Mhm.
But that's how we operate is way more important than that arbitrary 100 or that arbitrary label.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too that when we look at, we're not just playing one game. Like, and so when we're trying to accomplish something, we're open to, like, what's in alignment for me. And if we go, well, this feels like it is, I'm setting this goal, I'm going after it, and we start down that path, and it opens up something else, or like, I would say like our spiritual path looks like this. It's like, and sometimes back down again and back up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's all. But what happens so often for people is they set their goals so intensely that they override other opportunities with it. Because no, I
No.
set this goal. I need to get to that point rather than I set that goal as a trajectory. And I'm ready to course correct whenever new information comes in, whatever I needed out of that is completed, and now I can actually move to the next experience for me. But the goal is what actually set my trajectory rather than set
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
destination.
Right. Right.
And
Right. Right. Right.
I think we need to look at goals as, yeah, they're a destination, but maybe a better destination shows up along the way, or we grow in some way where we don't need to get all the way to that destination in order to go to the next, to set the next trajectory. And so seeing what we're setting as our intentions as trajectories rather than uh, places that we have to land or else it's not successful.
Yeah.
And I mean, that has been, I think that's such a key element. I see so many people that, like I think I've shared this story before on here. This guy that I was working with, he's like, I got my degree in IT. I spent all this time getting my master's degree in and all this money, and now I'm doing it and I hate IT. And so I don't know what to do because I've already invested, all this time and money in it. And, it's that fallacy of some costs law, which says, it's like there's this falsehood that says, that the total sum of everything I'm doing is actually gonna cost me more if I change course than if I keep going on this course that I don't like. And there's a fallacy to it, right? Like if you're, and I said to him, like, what if you actually, all that other education and now you have credentials, and what if you find something else to do that actually lights you up? And this will support you in some way, but what is the value of continuing down this path that you hate because you committed to it? And I think he just couldn't wrap his head around it. He was so mad at what I was saying to him because it was making it, because he was unable to change course. Like he just wouldn't let it happen. And so what I was saying to him was actually making it harder for him and making him more upset because he's like, well, this just makes it even worse now. I'm like, not if you actually change course, you know,
Right.
rather than sticking with it, because it's not working for you. And you have this whole life, like your life wasn't back then, your life's now and in the future. And so many people live their life back then and go, well, I already did all this to get here, so I got to do it. Like, but that already happened. This is happening now, and this is your experience. Are you living
Hmm.
more in your past or your present or your future?
Yeah. Yeah. And things change. Things
Yeah,
change.
yeah,
That's the nature of it. It's
right.
disruptive and it's uncomfortable. And to see
Or it's
those,
awesome.
and yeah, or to see, yeah, we can see those things as the opportunity showing up, the chances for the change, um,
And the support from the universe
that's
that,
right.
like,
Yeah.
this isn't allowing me to continue to do these things that rob joy from my life, that rob, you know,
Yeah.
all like I'm not allowed to continue to do this to myself.
Yeah. 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 And a lot
And
of those things, at least for me, are there. When they show up, you go, oh shit, I don't know. I have no idea why this is happening. But then in the rear view mirror, you go, oh, well, and you start to see the dots and how they make sense.
yeah, and then it's a
Uh,
miracle.
and then,
Then it's
yeah,
a divine intervention rather than,
yeah,
being punished for something, or why is this going this way for me again? Well, because you keep making decisions that aren't really in alignment with what's right for you.
yeah, yeah.
You get the
And if you
cattle
can,
prod back into what is.
totally, yeah. And if you could see the path in back of you so clearly laid out,
Hmm.
right? As strange it may seem, there's got to be a level of trust in the path forward. That does
Yeah.
it may not make sense, but in the rearview mirror, it will.
Yeah, we can always see the divine hand if we look for it, or we
Yeah,
can just, God, like, when am I ever going to figure this out? I just keep thinking it's this, then it's that, and then it's not that. It's this next thing. Like, what if each one has its own value, and we're building towards this fine tuning of our experience, and the more we flow with it, and the more we cooperate, the better it is. The more joy is available,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
and not taking ourselves so seriously, in regards to trying to get it right, but get it joyful, get it aligned, get it, and recognizing, I always hated this cliche. It was like, the universe is always supporting you, even when you think it's not, or something along those lines. And I'm like, I hated that, like the idea of like, we don't always know what support looks like. But when I look at it now, it's like, well, of course, that's exactly what it is. The things that get knocked out of our hands, the stuff that goes sideways for us, we embarrass ourselves, or we screw something up, or somebody comes in and ruins something we're trying to do. Like, it's all growing us in this very specific way, and these redirections that feel like they're against us because our human will is walking away from our alignment, and
Yeah.
and this self-destructive nature we have, this idea of putting ourselves into things that don't work for us and going towards stuff that we think we want because our egos decided it. Like, the
Yeah.
universe just doesn't have it. Like, it just keeps slapping it out of our hands.
Totally.
And when we see that as an ally, to go, oh, like, to me, it's kind of like being a teenager. And I think most of us remain spiritual teenagers because we're like, why is this so hard for me? Like,
Mm.
why won't it let me do what I want to do? And when we think about it, teenagers, like as parents to teenagers, like when we're guiding them, they're not going, oh, thank you for not letting me do that stupid thing that I thought was the greatest thing I could ever do. Thank you for intervening. Like, they don't. But later in hindsight, it created something for them, and
Totally.
we don't have that foresight. Like, we, even as adults, we go, God, why won't the universe let this work out for me?
Just
Because
like this. Yeah. Work
yeah,
out
yeah,
just like this.
exactly. And so letting ourselves kind of come into maturity, and I started to really love that idea of like, the universe is always supporting me when it's screwing up my shit. Because I needed that intervention to get to this next level of understanding of what's really right for me and what's aligned. And after years and years of doing this, like, I feel like what I'm doing now feels very fine tuned, and I can feel the support. And when I look back, like you said, in the rearview mirror, all the times it didn't work out, or it was some sort of interference, like, just perfect, like, just continued to knock me in line to here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, with that, I guess that's it.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time and being sensitive to
Yeah.
a half hour, and I'll throw this one down before we leave. And I forget if I mentioned this in our conversations before, but there was a job I was at, and like a week after I left, tons of traffic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then layoffs happened.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm at a new job, and I'm going, man, I'm so happy I'm not experiencing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fast forward 5 months, same thing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The website's imploding for reasons that Google thought it was a good idea. And I'm going, man, like, why, right? Like, I just thought I escaped it. Now I'm living the thing that I
Yeah.
escaped.
I can't be perfect. Like, and I can't be perfect and imperfect. Like, I can't solve a problem that's not mine to solve. Like,
Yeah. And I'm doing the math, and I'm putting a date on the calendar where I'm going to fire myself and fire the young lady who I hired. And I'm going, why is this all happening? Like, what is the thing that I can learn from this? And
yeah.
resilience kept showing up repeatedly. And I'm
Yeah.
learning on someone else's dime, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Yep.
why is that important? And
Mm-hmm.
5 months later, I quit my job without having any clients and started my
Mm-hmm.
own consulting business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was all very, very uncomfortable, but I sort of
Mm-hmm.
held myself together, sometimes harder than not.
Mm-hmm.
But resilience being, this is why this is happening, and there's a
Yeah.
purpose to it.
And it's the last thing the old Nick Musica would have done, but it was a
Oh
perfect thing
yeah.
for
Oh
current
yeah.
Nick Musica to do.
Totally. Which set me up great during my first year of business when someone called up and said, so that 12-month contract, we decided we don't want to do it at month 6.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Right.
Oh, I know how to navigate this now. I've been
Yeah,
here, and I can
totally.
trust.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
so you can look at those instances, those bumps in the road as, man, my ass hurts because these seats are so thin. Or you can be like, there's a purpose to these bumps in the road,
Yeah. Learn
and
not
they're
to
going to
fly
serve me.
frontier.
Yeah, and I really don't need to understand them now, but I know that they're going to be helpful at some point.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome, Nick.
Thanks
Great
for the chat, David.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Joy, let's play it.
Tis
And
the
really,
season.
one step up, alignment, right? And trust. Letting it unfold.
Yeah.
Awesome, brother.
All right.
Well,
Merry
thanks
Christmas,
for
Happy
listening,
New Year.
everyone. Have a great week. We'll catch you all next week.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.